Hi, I'm Jed Wasden, President of Last Chance Consulting. Our consulting team has been hard at work looking on the PAC Resources case. Let's take a look inside and see what they've got going on. Hey guys.
Hey, Jed.
So PAC Resources was a tough case and we've been working hard on it. Today we're going to talk about the SWOT analysis of PAC Resources as a company, the SWOT analysis of the HR development. Also, we're going to look at an analysis of the general problems that PAC Resources has. And finally, we'll do an evaluation system for the management training program. So first, we're going to have Tyler look at the SWOT analysis of PAC Resources.
Thanks, Jed. Now I will be talking about the SWOT analysis of PAC Resources. The products are made in America. They're IOS quality certification granted. They have strong employee development. They reimburse tuition. They have training seminars. They have multiple communities of practice. They have Snack for Shack on Fridays where they meet up and talk to each other and explain different information. They also set up a blog where people that don't always work at the facilities can go onto the blog, put in their information and talk about it so then they can get back and forth with each other. They have an HR hotline because this was a problem before is people would try to contact HR and they said they would contact them and then they would try to contact them again and then they would ignore it. So they created an HR hotline that's available 24/7. Anybody can go on there, call them, they can get back to them right away and talk about this. The weaknesses of the company are that they have heavy reliance on one customer. They rely on this customer 83% for all their sales. The company is also non-union. The employees complain about them being non-union and that they wish that they were unionized so they'd have more benefits of being part of a union. Also another weakness is employee benefits. Employees are always complaining about that they don't get benefits, or now that their benefits are getting cut because the company's going in a downturn and they're losing revenue, so that they're cutting their benefits and they're not getting as much as that they used to. The company reputation is that if they don't want to hire new people and then have to lay them off right away because they can't afford to keep on the new employees, so they don't want their reputation to go down if they hire somebody new. So this is why they created the hiring freeze. But what the hiring freeze is they have a position that opens, they have to hire within because they're not allowed to hire from outside. So they promoted somebody into a safety position and the person was not qualified for the safety position and he did not know what he was doing. The opportunities for the company is that they're exploring Canada and European markets to see if there's any opportunities for them to expand there. The threats for the company is that they heavily rely on that one customer 83% of the time, and that one customer is going down in their sales, that they're not making as much sales as they were before, so 83% of the profits are going to them and they're not doing as well.
Thanks, Tyler. Now I'll be discussing the SWOT analysis of the HR development. The 4 elements, which are strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. As for the HR development, one of the PAC organization's strengths is that they provide strong support for employee development. And this is a strength for the company because the more motivated an employee feels, the more useful the employee will be for the company, and the longer they'll be staying with the company. Another strength is that they provide training seminars with no cost. They do this by offering tuition reimbursement. And this is obviously a benefit for the company because all their employees are well trained. As any other company, PAC also has weaknesses. The lack of ideas to improve people's skills, and this can become a problem when employees are dealing with customers. They also need improvement implementing PAC policies across department lines. And in the company, all employees must be aware of all new policies. The training director, Kelly Stephens, also is not recognized. Her efforts are also not recognized by many managers. These managers are complaining about the training process she has to offer, which can result in hurting the company dramatically. The company also offers many opportunities. One of the opportunities is that they offer an online idea blog, and this idea blog is used by employees. They share their failures and successes, and this can help the HR manager because they can create new policies with the employees' ideas. One of the opportunities of PAC is hiring executive coaches to help management improve with people's skills. And by hiring these executive coaches in the company will obviously have better policies, and managers will help the company do better. As for the threats, ex-employee litigation is obviously a threat for the company because employees are coming back with lawsuits, and this is definitely going to affect the company. As far as for the economic climate, it's obviously a threat for the company because the revenue is going down and the company doesn't have enough money to train their employees. I've discussed the SWOT analysis of the HR development, and now Brandon will discuss the general problems.
Hey, thanks, Fabelli. Now I'm going to talk about some of the general issues that PAC Resources seems to
After reviewing employee emails, there doesn't appear to be any evidence that they are meeting these goals. It seems managers are not applying what they learned at their training programs back on the job. This is evident in the email from the employee relations manager, Steve Wilson, where he discusses a confrontation between an employee, Gary Stevens, and one of his subordinates. In this altercation, Mr. Stevens demonstrated poor people skills and did not bother to employ any of PAC's policies. Another issue for PAC is the increased problems and errors in the organization, which seem to be stemming from a lack of collaborative exchange and knowledge. These critical errors are obvious in the email from the benefits coordinator with the accidental termination of a key employee. The overall issue is the training programs themselves and the lack of understanding for why they are important. These are the main reasons for the employee resistance that you see throughout the case study. Furthermore, to make improvements, management first needs to distinguish if the lack of successful training is due to the training itself or if it's just simply a lack of motivation from the employees. If it is a lack of motivation, management needs to focus on making sure employees understand why the training is important and then make the necessary adjustments on the reward system so that the objectives and goals of the training meet the reward system that they have. If the training program itself is the issue, management will need to redesign and ensure that they are using best practices to meet the needs of the employees. All right, so now looking at transfer of knowledge, PAC has a number of programs available to help out their employees with their transfer of knowledge and collaborative exchange. So the community practice is basically where people from different departments meet and then they talk about the different problems that are in the organization. On a more informal note, they have the snack and chat programs where every Friday afternoon people are allowed to meet with someone in the HR department and talk about their work. Another program that they have is the idea blog on the company's intranet, and that's a place where people can come and post their successes and failures on different types of projects and get feedback on how they did and share their knowledge that they have to share. Originally there was some resistance with this among the employees, but more recently it seems like the employees are using it a lot more and finding it effective. Some improvements to these programs would be to evaluate the effectiveness of them, because right now it kind of seems like that management isn't doing anything to evaluate the programs, and because of that we don't know if they're necessarily working or not. One way to evaluate it would be to give the employees surveys and see how they feel the program is going. Another way to improve these programs could be to restructure or redesign them completely using the best practices. Now we're going to look at improving transfer of training and the retention from the programs. To ensure using the best available practices is key here, and some of these practices are during the programs giving a number of diverse opportunities to practice the skills that you're trying to instill in the employees. Another one would be highlighting the important aspects of the job to the employees.
A heads up information could be beneficial, so that's where you tell the employees what they expect when they go back on the job, what kind of situations, stuff like that. Another one could be create posting training assignments so that they can use the skills back on the job and instill that they are transferring that knowledge and skills back on to the workforce. And finally, following up and offering feedback. So after the training is over, actually talking with each of the employees and seeing how they're doing, seeing if the transfer of knowledge is actually going on. So finally, we're going to talk about preventing budget cuts to training. The main argument here is that the company's most important asset is the employees, and if you want to protect the company's best asset, you need to invest in it. So the need to evaluate the training programs is the main thing here. We're going to want to acquire quantitative data from our employees on, if they are retaining what's going on, if they like the programs, if they learn the necessary skills and knowledge that we wanted them to, and if the results post-training match up with the goals we had initially before the training started. So now that we've kind of talked about the broad general solutions and problems for the company, we're going to go a little more in-depth on the evaluation side.
All right, thank you, Brandon. Now, my name is Nicholas, and I'm going to be going over the evaluation system. Now, the first type of evaluation we need to have for the management training program is a reaction evaluation. Now, what this is, it's measuring the reaction that the people who undergo the program have of the program. So the thing we have to do with this is we have to conduct this right at the end of the program as soon as they finish with it and see what they think about it. The feedback needs to be collected anonymously. If it's not anonymous, then people aren't going to really give their true feedback, and they might end up sucking up to people. So anonymity is absolutely paramount. We could ask them for a number of things, such as asking them what they thought the 3 biggest strengths and 3 biggest weaknesses of the program were, which would give them a little bit of leeway to tell about things that we wouldn't necessarily know about beforehand, as well as having specific and generalized ratings for things like what they thought of the program overall and what they thought of specific parts of the program. After that, we need to conduct a learning evaluation. This evaluation determines whether or not they actually learned anything from this. To do this, we have both a pre-test and a post-test. So before they underwent the program, we give them a pre-test to see what they knew already. After that, we give them a post-test to see what they learned. And this would include questions that are relevant to their actual job. So we'd see about some maybe common problems that people will have, see how they would have reacted to them beforehand, and then after they're addressed in the program, we'd see how they'd react to them later. Then comes the behavior evaluation. This is whether or not the people who underwent the program are actually changing their behavior because of it. This would be not immediately afterwards, but after enough time has elapsed to where their changed behavior would actually become apparent. So to do this, we collect feedback from both their supervisors and the subordinates, basically anyone they come in contact with, because they'll see whether or not there's a change. And we'd also do this for managers who didn't go through the program. This is to establish a control group that didn't go through it to see whether or not the changes that happened were actually due to the program, or if they perhaps were due to some larger circumstance affecting the entire company not related to the program. Finally comes the results evaluation. This is seeing whether or not at the end the program impacted the bottom line. So this is the last thing that happens. We measure the employee's disposition towards the managers before and after to see if it had changed. A big problem that PAC had been having is that people didn't have confidence that the managers were doing their jobs right or getting anything out of the training. If their disposition is improved, then we'd see that it was working. On top of that, we'd see if any of the management problems that we've had earlier would be less frequent. Some of the problems that we've had is things like the lawsuits we were getting, complaints, or other management errors. If those over time decreased, then we could tell that the program had been effective. On top of that, we'd see whether the bottom line has been improved by this. Because no matter how good they become off of this, if it doesn't impact the bottom line, it's not that valuable. So we'd see whether or not people working under these managers that have went through the program would actually have increased productivity or increased sales or the like.
Thanks, Nick. Really appreciate your input on the case. In conclusion, Last Chance Consulting has looked at a wide range of topics, but specifically, we focused on the SWOT analysis of PAC resources, the SWOT analysis of HR development. Then we looked at an analysis of the general problems they were facing, and finally, an evaluation system for the management training program. We put a lot of effort into this case, and we hope that PAC Resources can take the information we've presented to them and turn their business into a great venture going forward. Thank you.